Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a drama from Russia, Russian language English subs, released in the year 2011, directed by Andrei Zvigintsev, and this film is called Elena. So Elena is set in Russia. You have an elderly couple named Elena and Vladimir. They have had previous relationships where they had children. So Elena had a child named Sergei. Sergei is now an adult and he has a family of his own, but he's unemployed and he doesn't really support them. So he asked Elena to support them financially, and so they have a son named Sasha. Now Sasha is a wayward teen, and if he doesn't come up with the money to go into university, he's going to be conscripted into the army because his grades are not very good. And so Sergei pleads with Elena to give them the money in order to actually achieve this dream, but then Vladimir says no, it's about time Sergei is a man and supports his family financially himself. But then Elena says it's a contradiction because Vladimir supports his adult daughter named Katya. But then Vladimir won't talk about that, and so this makes Elena feel a little bit angry. And so this causes a rift within the marriage, but that rift is going to be intensified when one day Vladimir is swimming and has a heart attack. Now he survives his heart attack, but he realises he's not going to live forever. And much to the horror of Elena, he doesn't include Elena's son and grandson and the family in the will. So he's going to give a little bit of money to Elena and all the rest of the money to Katya. But this is going to leave them in Elena's family in a situation because it's not going to be enough to get this grandson into college. And so Elena is devastated by this, and she comes up with a plan that is about to change everything. So what that plan is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Elena. For those of you who know me, Andrei Zvigintsev is one of my favourite directors. I haven't actually watched a film of his that I've disliked, and I had the expectation that I was going to really like Elena, and those expectations were met. Now what I love about Andrei Zvigintsev is he is a very cold, matter-of-fact storyteller. These are characters that are very cold and unforgiving. This is a situation that's cold and unforgiving, and he does critique the Russian government and Russian society, and that's a very brave thing to do because Russian government is actually a very scary prospect. But Andrei Zvigintsev tells stories through that critique in a way that it shows you the differences within class and differences within society. And Elena is no different. Although I believe that this is probably his weakest effort, it's still a riveting experience because of the way it's told. This is a very brutal film, but it's not brutal in its violence, it's brutal in the harsh conditioning of these characters. And this is the upbringing of the Russian people, basically the class differences. And so this is exactly the way that Elena tells its story. It's a very intricate plot told in the visuals of a very monotone Russia, and that monotone Russia is where it creates the brutality. Each and every one of these characters has a soft side, but it also has a very ugly and brutal side. And I thought as though there was no safety net where you could actually sympathise completely with everyone. You always felt as though I sympathise with this character, and then one moment I sympathise with this character. But each and every character has a side to them where you kind of feel as though, all right, well, I can understand why this person is doing this against you. And so ultimately, this is the society, this is the government, this is the situation that these people are placed in, because opportunities are very scarce. And so the opportunity of Vladimir and what he had actually brought up, and he's spoiled his daughter Katya, but because they were from a rich upbringing, it's almost like although Vladimir is married to Elena, he doesn't see Elena on his level. And so the way that they interact with each other, I thought, was actually quite uncomfortable, because Vladimir always puts himself on that pedestal and Elena will serve him and will think nothing of it. It's because of the fact that she is from a completely different world, and that world is definitely lower than the world of Vladimir. And so as these two worlds clash, I thought as though the way the story was told, I thought it was very subtle, but the subtleties creep up on you, and the subtleties actually make you feel that level of discomfort that Andrei Zvigintsev has present in each and every one of his films. And so Elena, I thought the visuals were absolutely fantastic, the soundtrack was outstanding because it tells a story, and that story is the harsh realities of life. And so the script I thought was absolutely phenomenal. The acting, they give absolutely phenomenal performances because of the fact their characters are painted in a way that is matter-of-fact real life, but as I said, has a very three-dimensional side to each and every one of them. And so as all of this starts to play in, it leads up to a fairly shocking conclusion. But as I said, because it's told in a matter-of-fact way, it doesn't feel like a theatrical film. And this is where the acquired taste really comes into it. Not a lot of people are going to love Andrei Zvigintsev. You know, a lot of people are going to expect a movie where you can eat popcorn and really enjoy it and not use your brain, but this is a film that requires you to use your brain. This is a film that is very European. It's a Russian version of a Michael Haneke film. Although Andrei Zvigintsev doesn't rip off Michael Haneke, there's a lot of similarities between the two of them. And so you've got camera shots that are very static and very, you're almost like you're a fly on the wall watching a real family. And so the critique of this Russian society, I thought, interweaves with these characters, and the characters become so much more than just a simple human being. They're a symbolisation of of the harsh realities, as I said, of the Russian system. So there are moments that I thought I could really sympathise for someone, but the next minute I could actually feel as though, all right, well, you shouldn't be doing that. And so it's a whirlwind of contrasting emotions that have put into a film that feels very uncomfortable. There is no real love in this movie, and that's something that I really get from a lot of Andrei Zvyagintsev films, is that there's not a lot of love and warmth. And I think definitely the cold, harsh realities of everyday Russians is really emulated very, very well. And so Elena is definitely a film I would recommend, especially if you are a fan of this director. But the reason why I say it's probably his weakest attempt is that although it's riveting and it's never boring, or at least to me, I still didn't feel as though the story was quite as involved as his previous movies. Now, the only reason, as I said, I have a skepticism of this film was based on the fact of past experiences. And so if this is your first Andrei Zvyagintsev film and you like this type of film, you're going to like it a lot more because you have nothing to compare it to. But basically, Elena's downfall is the fact that his other films have been so outstanding. And this movie is outstanding, but it just doesn't quite reach to those levels because although I was invested, I wasn't as invested as I was in his previous movies. And so there's something lacking in Elena. I thought it could have had a little bit more punch into the story. But having said that, as I said, it's a riveting film. It's a very interesting look at the class differences and the harsh realities that some Russians face. So if it sounds like your kind of thing, go out there and see Elena. I'm going to give this one 4 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.